talk about the Thursday night big-time matchup in the NFC. It's Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders traveling to Green Bay to take on Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. The Packers are favored by 3.5 points. It's an 8:15 p.m. kickoff. The over-under for this matchup is 47.5. So, as I look at this matchup, obviously, let's talk about the quarterbacks. We got Jaden Daniels for the Commanders and Jordan Love for the Packers. And Jaden Daniels, in his first game against the Giants, Jaden Daniels, he went 19 of 30. He threw for 233 passing yards, 1 touchdown. And I thought the Commanders, they pretty much dominated the Giants all afternoon long. And in that matchup, that was an NFC East matchup between those two teams. The Commanders, they had 25 first downs to 17 first downs for the Giants. The Commanders had 220 rushing yards to 74 rushing yards for the Giants. The Commanders had 212 passing yards to 157 passing yards for the Giants. And the Commanders had 432 total yards of offense compared to 231 total yards of offense for the Giants. Now, I thought in that matchup against the Giants, the Commanders, the way that they utilized Deebo Samuel, I liked how they utilized Deebo Samuel because Deebo Samuel had a touchdown, and it was one of those end arounds similar to how Kyle Shanahan utilized Deebo Samuel in that Niners offense in San Francisco. That's how the Commanders utilized Deebo in their offense against the Giants in week 1. And I thought Deebo had a good debut for the Commanders. 7 receptions, 77 receiving yards. Now, Terry McLaurin, he only had 2 receptions for 27 receiving yards. But we know how dynamic the Commanders' offense is with Jaden Daniels. Obviously, Jaden Daniels won NFL Rookie of the Year award last year. 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 3,568 passing yards. He completed 3% of his passes. And I thought Jaden Daniels had a really, really good rookie season, and he led the Commanders to the NFC Championship game. And so that was very, very impressive from Jaden Daniels. Now, when I look at the Commanders, the strength of their team is their offense. I do not really believe in their defense that much. Now, I know they only gave up 6 points to the Giants, but it's the Giants, okay? Which I believe the Giants at some point, they're going to bring in Jackson Dart and bench Russell Wilson at some point this season. But I don't really believe in the Commanders defense that much. Now, I do like their head coach, Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn is the former Falcons head coach, and he is a defensive mind. So I expect the Commanders to be better defensively as the season goes along. But right now, they are not an elite defense. I mean, defensively, you got Deron Payne up front. You got Javon Kinlaw, okay? You got Dorrance Armstrong. At linebacker, you got Bobby Wagner. You got Von Miller as well. So 2 vets in that linebacker room. And in your secondary, you got Marshawn Lattimore, Quan Martin, Will Harris. But I really don't believe in that Commanders defense that much. The strength of their team is Jaden Daniels with Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin. Now, let's talk about the Packers and Jordan Love. Obviously, Jordan Love had an injury-riddled season last year. He had 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 3,389 passing yards. But remember, he got banged up in week 1 against the Eagles in that opening night game, and then he got injured against the Jaguars later on in the season as well. I just never really felt like Jordan Love had an opportunity to be 100% last season. But he started off the season very well in week 1 because against the Detroit Lions, he went 16 of 22. He threw for 188 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So I thought he had a very efficient game. And for whatever reason, Jordan Love, he plays very well in week 1 games. In week 1 games, Jordan Love has a 7-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He averages 231 passing yards in week 1, and he has a 108.2 passer rating in his performances in week 1. And so that's 16 for 22, 188 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, a very, very efficient game from the Packers quarterback in Jordan Love. And so I believe, obviously, the Packers are loaded as a football team, offensively and defensively. Obviously, on offense, you got Josh Jacobs in the backfield. I think Josh Jacobs is a top 3 running back in the NFL. I believe the only 2 running backs who are better than Josh Jacobs are Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. At receiver, the Packers have the youngest receiving core in the NFL with Matthew Golden, with Romeo Doubs, with Wicks, with Jaden Reed as well. They have a young but a very talented receiving core. And I thought against the Lions, the Packers offense, they honestly played well. They really played well overall offensively. In that game, they had 266 total yards of offense. Now, they could have had more, but the defense did so great with Micah Parsons on the other side that the Packers really didn't have to do much offensively, specifically in the second half against the Lions. And so, obviously, they have weapons offensively at the receiving position. They got Josh Jacobs, a top 3 running back in the backfield. And I think Jordan Love is one of the best young quarterbacks we have in the NFL. And Matt LaFleur is a tremendous head coach and a great play caller as a head coach. And so that bodes well for the Packers. Now, obviously, defensively, I believe the Packers have an advantage over the Commanders. I think the Packers have a much better defense than the Commanders have. And I'm looking at this Packers defense. Obviously, up front, you got Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons now. And I think Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons will be the best tandem as pass rushers in the NFC once Micah becomes 100% in shape. But you got Micah Parsons, you got Rashawn Gary, you got Kobe Wooden, who replaced Kenny Clark, and I thought he did a tremendous job in week 1 against the Lions, okay? At linebacker, you got one of the best young linebackers in Edgerrin Cooper. You got Quay Walker as well, okay? And in that secondary, you still got Keyshawn Nixon. You still got Xavier McKinney. So I really like this Packers defense. I really, really do. And so this is going to be a very, very competitive game. But I'm rolling with the Packers to beat the Commanders in a thriller in Lambeau Field. I'll go Packers 27, Commanders 24.